welcome to Mini Moderns. My name's Simone and thank you for joining me on my tiny corner on the miniature interweb where we're here to think big, build small. So in today's video, we're going to be making Halloween decorations using some printables that I created myself. They're available in my Etsy store and for my tier 2 and up Patreons. This is going to be a two-part series. So today's video, I'm going to show you how to make miniature buckets with lots of candy and sweet treats. And the next video, I'm going to show you how to make buntings and hanging decorations. Before we get started, remember I'll leave a link in the description for everything that I'm going to be using in today's project. Also a link to my Patreon and my Facebook group. I'd like to give a huge shout out to Suki Tabar for being part of my mini structures over on Patreon. Your support means the world to me. Thank you so much. Remember to leave a like, comment and subscribe if it's your cup of tea and you're feeling the vibe, just to help the YouTube algorithm. Without further ado, let's get on with today's video. So here's what we're going to need to get started. It's these printable sheets, some tacky glue and a pair of scissors. Nice and simple. These printables are available in my Etsy store and for free for my tier 2 and up on Patreon. So we have two separate printable kits. One is to make the buckets and candy, and this sheet here is how we're going to make our little buckets. I'm going to show you how to make that. And the second sheet here is the candy. We've got a nice mixed variety, some mini modern specials, some trick or treat, UK specials and some for the USA as well. So a nice little mix and blend. And our second kit, this is what I'm going to be showing you how to make in part 2. It's the hanging decorations, bats, pumpkin, ghosts and paper fans. I'll also be showing you how to make some buntings on strings, so make sure you stay tuned for part 2. But let's crack on with today's video. The first step and most tedious step is sealing. Yeah, we got to do it, guys, because we are using paper and we want to make this long lasting and superb. All of these, as well as being available as a printable, will be available to buy already made by yours truly. So you can see the process here of how exactly they are made. So if you want to purchase them already done and dusted for yourselves, let me know. They will be coming in 2 buckets. So we'll have a bucket filled with candy that's already sealed and stuck in, and I'm going to have a bucket with the candy free roaming for your pleasure to mix and blend. So go ahead and check those out if you want to get them pre-made. But let me show you how to make them if you want to do it by yourself. First thing is seal all of this. 100 years later, sealing is done. Now we just have to wait for it to dry. Let's wait another 100 years. So I actually waited a full day for these to dry and seal so they're not sticky at all. So when the paper touches paper, it's not sticking. Do you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, why didn't I think when I was crafting? I have a heat gun. I didn't think about it at the time. I actually purchased a heat gun for the purpose of this, drying things, and it's only now where I'm looking back that I didn't use it. Oh well, note for next time, okay? It's just too much to think about. Anywho, on to the next step. We're going to need some glue. I bought some of this wood adhesive glue. I'm going to try this out. Toothpick, you can use your tacky glue as well, and some cardboard. As you can see here, I use the cardboard to hold my glue, and I'm also going to be using it for my chocolate. I'm going to go between cardboard and grey craft board to fill the chocolate. It just depends. I'll also switch between a crafting blade and some scissors to cut things up. Oh, and here, just in case anyone is wondering, I have fibromyalgia, so I have flare-ups in my wrists and joints, and this happens to be a bad day, so I have one. That's just in case anyone is wondering, but I do take it off from time to time because it does get annoying when you're trying to craft with a brace on. But anywho, it's time to start cutting, and you may notice there is 4 of each of these things because there are 4 different color buckets. So if you wanted to put 1 in each bucket, you can do so, and as this is a printable, you can print it as many times as you want and fill as many buckets as you want. But if you wanted just a set of 4 buckets, there's 4 for each. So now I'm just going to cut out all of these chocolates and get them prepped. So here I've got 1 set of everything cut, not properly, but just what I'm going to use, and also the pieces for the bucket. I'm going to start by cutting all of my candy first and then folding them in half so it's nice and even. So you can see this is the trick or treat. The prints are really nice and clear on here, and it's the same on both sides. So what we're going to do with pretty much all of them is decide what you want to fill it with. I said in this case I'm going to use cardboard. I'm just going to trim a really tiny piece and just first test and see how it fits inside the wrapper, making sure you leave a gap at the top and the bottom to seal it. That is the perfect size for this particular wrapper. And then I'm going to put glue all over the inside of the wrapper and then just stick that down and then seal the sides. I'm going to use a toothpick because it's so small. I'm just going to use a toothpick, and I find that I've even put a lot of glue on my cardboard right now. Don't even need that. I'm currently using the wood glue because it's such a big bottle as well, and a little goes a long way in miniatures. So paint the whole thing, stick your cardboard onto the wrapper, and we're just going to fold it in half and then just pinch the top and bottom. And then this is where if you've got some tweezers, grab your tweezers and just seal it. So once you've folded it, just grab your tweezers and just pinch both the sides. Well, all three of the sides actually, just give them a good pinch, seal them down, and then you wait for that to dry. Like I said, I'm going to be making these buckets pre-made. So if you want to get them already done and dusted, just go and check out the link for my Etsy store. Look at that, so cute. Now I'm going to show you how I fill the bag of sweets and candy. We're still going to cut around them and fold them in half just like before, but this time I'm going to fill them with an assortment of tiny coloured beads and paper, depending if I want my packets open and closed. And in the packages that I'm making, some chocolate is going to be open so you can see what's in them, and some's going to be closed. So for the paper as well, just take your scrap pieces of paper and just roll them up into tiny balls until you've got a whole bunch like this. Then you're going to put the glue at the bottom and the side of your package and then seal it. It doesn't really matter which side that you put the glue on. We're going to stick it all together in the first place. Make sure you have some tweezers on hand again so you can open up your packaging and you can still seal the sides. Once your packaging is ready, it's now to decide how you want to fill it. You could use paper to completely stuff it, or you can stuff it with your beads, seeds, rice even. It's completely up to you. I am going to do a mixed variety of both of them. In my buckets, I'm going to have some candy on show, so I will be filling them with these little beads that you'll be able to see as well. So I'm going to have a nice mix and match, but just go ahead and fill them and then just seal them. And when you're done, you should be finished with a nice cute bag. I then do this a million more times with different variations and sizes of cardboard and paper. And for my little candy buckets, I wanted to add some chocolate that is coming out of the packet. So this here is a Twix, and I wanted to make one finger pop out of the packet on this. So just like before, I'm going to fold them in half, and then when I'm adding my cardboard to it, I'm just going to make it peek out of the top of the packaging. I feel like this just gives it that nice realistic look. And a little bit later on, I'm also going to paint it as well to give it that nice little chocolate coating. But Twix anyone? So here you can see I've made one of each in the packet. I still haven't painted my chocolate that's poking out, but we got a few. Comment below, what's your favorite chocolate? I love Galaxy and Snickers. I love a Snickers. Anyway, let's get on to making the bucket. So the first thing we're going to do is snip around the larger circle. Snip all the way around this because this is going to be the base of our bucket. Then we're going to fold over those rims that we've just trimmed with the orange or the colored part facing on the outside. And here, if you've got something circular that is roughly the same size, you could just use that to help prop up the trims. I do have some wooden pegs that I like to use for this, and I'll show you those a bit later. So now we've got those cut, we're going to use the solid color and I'm going to stick that in the front. So we've got the white piece of the paper facing us and the color piece of the circle paper facing away, and we're going to put some glue all around those trims and then just stick that solid piece on the inside. Another helpful tip is to use something to kind of curve the paper. So I'm just using the end of my little glue stick here, and it just helps to curve the paper, just making it a little bit easier to go around. And because we have sealed this with tacky glue, it's very firm as well, so the paper doesn't tear as quickly. So now we've got our rims, and we're just going to simply stick the solid colour on the inside. You can use your tweezers or your fingers to fold this in. It just depends on your preference. So you're just going to really take your time and then just stick those glued trims onto the solid colour. And we're going to go all the way around and do this. Just really take your time with this. The more you take the time, the cleaner it's going to look at the end. And when you're approaching the end, you can decide whether you want to have the last piece stick to the inside or the outside of the trim. So for me, I'm going to just stick this on the inside, but I do vary just depending. It doesn't make a huge difference. You just want to keep it nice and firm, and just make sure that you went around the circle as neatly as possible. And this is where your handy pegs or circles or whatever you've got that is roughly the same size come in handy. I will leave a link in the description for everything that I do use in this project as well, any other accessories. But I use this just to help pinch the bottom and have a nice circle to kind of latch onto. So I'm going to use this to flatten out the bottom, and then I'm going to wait for it to dry, and then we're going to stick the next layer on. That looks like a nice little cute circle to me. That's nice and dry, because we don't want it too wet when we're doing each layer, because that's when the paper can get sticky and tear and become a whole mess that we just don't want. So it is a patience game, but if you do enjoy doing kits, then it's quite fun, and then when you see the end product, you're like, oh yes, I like it. So we're going to add some glue to the other piece of the circle, and we're going to stick that in the middle. Taking your time using your tweezers and your fingers, we're just going to push this into the base of our bucket. And we're doing it this way, as I said, because it just gives it a nice clean finish at the end. So you're going to just push that all the way down using the tweezers, being super, super gentle. And then once we've got it in enough, you can use your fingers or one of the pegs, whatever you've got, just to like seal and push that down a bit more, and just make sure that there are no gaps. And it's just a nice flat base, so you can see that. And now I'm just going to use my little peg. Sorry, it's out of shot. I'm going to just use my peg to push that down so you can see here. And that looks like a nice clean base if you ask me. As usual, Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt. And now we can stick on our outside design. Now this is where it's completely up to you, because there are a mix and match of colors. You can decide that you want a different color from the outside of the bucket, because there's a nice little range and a good combination of colors, if I say so myself. So if you wanted this black on the outside, you could do that as well, because there is a nice match. But I'm going to just use the buckets as I've designed them. I'm going to just use the orange back strips. I'm going to stick those all around the outside. Again, it's about taking your time and just not rushing it, so that you get it to line up really nice and neatly, and it does give it a more realistic look, the less jiggity and jaggedy it is. So we're going to have the pattern facing the right way. I'm going to put this where the line is on the outside here, just to cover that up, and then slowly go all the way around our bucket, just making sure that everything matches up neatly, and we've got ourselves a nice little pattern on the outside as well. And here is how the bucket looks so far. Time to add the handles. Again, you can mix and match what handles you want to use, but I'm going to go with the black ones, and I'm basically just going to stick those along the edges. I'm going to use my little peg head as a hat just to hold it in place. It's just the perfect size. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue over the seam line, and then I'm just going to add one piece of the handle and then line it up with the other side so it's matching. So it should look like this on one side. You can just leave the handle there. You can let it dry a little bit just to hold, and then add the other side. As I said, with this process, we are waiting a lot for glue to dry, but it's totally worth it when it's done. So now we can just make sure it's leveled up, it's completely on the halfway mark, and then just add the glue and then stick it down. And then we've got ourselves a lovely little Halloween bucket. but it's not quite finished yet because I do want to make this a little bit more firm and secure. So this is where we move into the next phase. Right now they are looking super cute. Don't you love them? So we've got the nice little different colors with the handles and the mix and match. And like I said, if you wanted to mix and match and change the colors completely, you really can. I just think this is really cool. So we've got our bats, we've got our ghosts, look at this, we've got some spiders, and then we've got our bats again in reverse colors. Oh I also like to keep all of my sweets that I've made in these nice little cute bags here, these little pouches, because I keep them separated for each bucket so I don't get them mixed up. So I have the same amount of sweets that I'm going to put in each bucket, and it's just my way of keeping things organized. So I separate how I want my candy to look, because you can just even have the candies in the bags. They look so adorable, guys, so damn adorable. So before I do put them in the bag, I just want you to have a look here. Look at this assortments of goodness. As I say, we've got UK, we've got American treats, Twix. And as I said, I've painted some of the card that we put on, but a bit later on I'm going to show you, I'm going to put some resin on them as well, just so it's a bit more durable and longer lasting. So as I said, I'm going to be doing 2 buckets, one with all the sweets stuck down and one with it's an empty bucket, and you can fill it with as much as you want, but it's just such a nice way of having that flexibility to create. But before I fill the buckets, I just want to clean them up a little bit. As I am using paper, I feel like obviously some pieces can be a little bit untidy because you can still see the white, but there is a fix for this. I'm going to use some paint pens just to paint around any of the pieces that I don't want to see. So I've got my orange and black paint pens. So underneath the handle, all of these, remember I did coat them all with tacky glue, so they still got a nice like firm layer. I'm just going to go over it with my paint pen, but if you've got acrylic paint, whatever paints you want, you can use that and just paint over any parts that you don't want white, or you could leave it white. It's entirely up to you. But for me personally, my little minis, the handles are all going to match inside and out. So I'm just going to go around and paint all of the edges and all of the strips just to keep this nice and cohesive. So here you can see I've gone around and cleaned up all of the buckets and got rid of any white that might be showing, just to make them all a little bit cleaner. So the next step for me is to make the bucket a little bit more secure, because remember, this currently is just paper and tacky glue, and as it is, it's perfectly fine, it's usable, it's great. But if you do want a little bit more durability, the next solution is key. As you can see here, if I poke down on the handle, it's still a bit too flexible for me. I want it a little bit more sturdy. So this is where I'm going to be going in with some wonderful UV resin. Yes guys, the UV resin is going to work fantastic on this, and because we sealed it with the tacky glue, it's not going to seep through as well, so it just works out great. I have a little beaker here with some isopropyl alcohol because I'm going to be using a brush and I want to clean my brush and be able to use it again. And I also have a beaker with some of my UV resin. So basically I'm just going to dip my brush in and then just wipe it along the bucket. I'm going to start with the top layer. I'm going to do the handles and the inside of the bucket. I'm going to cure that completely, and then I'm going to go ahead and do the sides and the base of the bucket. It does take a little while because you have to sit and wait for it to cure. You want to make sure that you cure it so it's not sticky. And at this time I also put some UV resin on the chocolates as well. So now they are all pretty much done. I peel them away. You just, to check, you just tap your fingers on. You can see that is a lot more firm and solid now, and it's not sticking to my fingers. So depending on what kind of UV lamp or light you're using, just go with your own flow. But for me, this is perfect now. It's not sticking and I'm super happy with this bad boy. So here are the cured buckets, and they are looking so realistic, so sturdy, and so damn good. Am I right? Okay, I had an idea as well, guys. I want to bedazzle these a little bit. Along the handle, I'm going to add some tiny little gems. I definitely feel like some little, you know, the little nail art, some nail gems. I'm going to go ahead and stick some of those along the handles. Yes, I think it requires it. But first, look at these. They are so cute, guys. So freaking cute. But let's have a look at them bedazzled. There we go. As I was putting the gems on the bucket, I couldn't help but do my nails as well. I was like, why should you get all the fun? So I threw some on there, the old nails. But look, we've got our bedazzled Halloween candy buckets filled with candy and ready to roll. I hope you've enjoyed this video, guys. I hope you got some value from it, some great ideas from it. And if you want to purchase your own, remember, head over to my Etsy stores where you can get your own as a printable or as an already made package. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Don't forget to follow me over on Patreon and Facebook, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye bye. Like, share, subscribe.